Hello, YouTube. Once again, it is the Dread Pirate, far out at sea at an undisclosed location. Uh, and today, I want to get a little personal with you guys. I want to tell you something about me. I fucking love dinosaurs. I love dinosaurs so much. When I was a little kid, my grandmother would read to me about dinosaurs, and literally when I was like 3 years old, like the moment I started talking, it was nothing but dinosaurs. I was a kid that like initially would hear fairy tales about dragons. I thought dragons were the coolest, and then all of a sudden my grandma would talk to me about dinosaurs, and it's like, wait a minute, dinosaurs are like dragons, but they're real. That was cool to me. So I became a huge dinosaur kid. Um, I wanted to know everything about dinosaurs. I would read books about dinosaurs. I would watch shows about dinosaurs. Um, I remember I would get like little video cassettes with like claymation dinosaurs, because that's all we had back in the day. For those of you who don't know or don't remember, there was an awesome 90s cartoon show called Dino Riders, which I would watch all the time, and I got the toys for. I had the T-Rex and the Stegosaurus for Dino Riders. That was really cool. And so I love dinosaurs, and I still love dinosaurs to this day. Dinosaurs, and any research or finding about dinosaurs is fascinating. I got the chance to go I went to the Field Museum in Chicago, and I saw their dinosaur exhibit. It felt like I was kind of coming home, or seeing some old friends. I got to actually see a Stegosaurus skeleton up close, and a T-Rex, and a Velociraptor, and all the other dinosaurs there. It was just it was really magical. Triceratops. It was really magical to me, and I've always been interested in paleontology as a result. I've been interested when my family went to South Dakota for a little while. I got to see the big mammoth excavation. It was like an old tar pit back in the day, and there's this massive there's this huge stockpile of mammoth bones that they're still uncovering, and they've actually built a museum around it. They also had a nice natural history museum up there with dinosaurs as well, which is pretty cool. We also had the Museum of Science and Industry, which we still have the Museum of Science and Industry down here in Tampa by USF, which I don't know if they still do it. I think they probably do, but I remember as a kid, every now and then they would have really cool dinosaur exhibits. They had the big robot dinosaurs. I was all about dinosaurs, and I still am about dinosaurs. I still love dinosaurs to this day. And just like anything that if you throw a dinosaur into something, I will get excited. Like when the X-Men went to the Savage Land and encountered Sauron, and there's dinosaurs there. There's a T-Rex. I'm like, that's awesome. The reason I got into Deadpool was because I read Deadpool, Merc with a Mouth, and which features a zombie T-Rex, and which is just really freaking awesome. It's cool. Just anything dinosaurs, I love. Like, those of you gamers remember the PlayStation 1, maybe don't have the best memories of Dino Crisis. I do, because it's Resident Evil with dinosaurs. It's awesome. What the fuck's wrong with you? It's a great game. It's awesome. And Regina is the most underappreciated heroine in all of video games. I said it. You heard it first here, people. So naturally, I'm a huge Jurassic Park fan. Jurassic Park stands as my favorite movie of all time. It's like if you hit me out of nowhere. I mean, there's a couple things that come close to it. I mean, I love Ghostbusters. Of all things, really, the Mortal Kombat movie, the original one, I love that movie, man. I really love that film. The original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie, or like the first two actually, are up there for me. And there's a lot of competition, like aside from just stuff from the 80s. It's like there's a lot of movies I really love. But it's like, for my money, you ask me point blank, what's your favorite movie? And as much as I rave about things like Infinity War, or a lot of the Marvel movies, it's like it's Jurassic Park. It's the original Jurassic Park. That was, for me as a kid growing up and loving dinosaurs, that was the big dinosaur movie. And I think it stands the test of time as not only a great dinosaur film, but an excellent science fiction movie. And it's a good example of how to do a good science fiction blockbuster, a movie that's both exciting and fun and is intelligent. So when I got older and I started reading, I picked up the book and I read the novel, and I became a huge Michael Crichton fan. Michael Crichton is still one of my favorite authors to this day as a result. He's right up there with Stephen King and H.P. Lovecraft for me. It's like, when it comes to science fiction, it's like he's one of my favorites. And both novels, the Jurassic Park and The Lost World, are excellent novels. And what's interesting, I think, to note is that, like, if you start comparing the novels to the movies, both the novel Jurassic Park and the movie Jurassic Park are both excellent in two completely different ways. Jurassic Park is a great novel, but it's also a landmark Steven Spielberg film. That's just an excellent movie, and it works as a film very, very well. It had groundbreaking special effects for the time, excellent acting. It did a very good job of adapting this kind of sci-fi warning that Michael Crichton was basically putting forward about the danger. It's honestly a familiar science fiction moral and trope, arguably, that we've seen before ever since Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, of the dangers of the power of God in the hands of man. This type of writing was very big just in pretty much any Cold War era science fiction work. I mean, from like Godzilla, Planet of the Apes, what have you. Anytime there's the danger of nuclear power or whatnot, or the dangers of genetic engineering, you can all harken it back to Frankenstein. And I think one of the better examples, especially during the 80s when the rise of genetic engineering was coming up, is Jurassic Park. And I feel like it's an excellent adaptation bringing those issues. It's like, look at the wonderful things you can do with science, but look at the dangerous result. There's always a downside. And it's like, you can create dinosaurs, which would be so cool, but at the same time, what if they get loose? What happens? What if you can't control these things once you create it? And it's one of those films that just holds up very, very well. Now, if you start comparing the Lost World novel to the Lost World movie, well, then there you're having problems. There's where things just kind of fall apart. Because the Lost World novel is an excellent novel. And it continues on it continues the story previously. And I think specifically, Michael Crichton wrote it after the success of Jurassic Park. And he continued on the story, continued on the adventure, and added a lot of wonderful new things to the table, like the Carnotaurus and the chameleon powers they have. He introduced new characters, and basically Ian Malcolm was meant to die in the first novel, but because the movie did so well and people wanted more, he decided to make Ian Malcolm the hero of the second novel. And it's an excellent novel, and it carries on the adventure, and we see other things come to fruition, like the rival corporation Biosyn really becomes into their own. The character of Dobson, the guy that gives Dennis Nedry his shaving cream can in the movie, that guy comes back. That guy comes back as the main villain, and the heroes have to contend with him and his goons and the dinosaurs at the same time, and it works very, very well. Now, if you start talking about the actual movie, though, that's where things get a little iffy. A lot of people will tell you that movie sucks. Those people aren't necessarily wrong. The fact of the matter is, though, and what it boils down to is at this point, Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, the subject of today's rant. I'd call it a review, but I'm going to rant at you. I'm going to rant long and loud, people. The fact of the matter is the fifth in the Jurassic Park films. And a lot of people like to go like, oh, sequel sucks, sequel. People complain. And here's the thing, though. It's fair to say that every single movie after Jurassic Park has been inferior to Jurassic Park. They are all inferior sequels. I will agree that. Do they suck, though? No. I find I have a different standard than most people. To me, a movie is not bad. No matter how cheesy it is, no matter how bad the special effects are, no matter how bad the acting is, what have you, so long as it doesn't piss me off. And the fact of the matter is, none of the Jurassic Park sequels, up until this point, have ever pissed me off. The Lost World deviates heavily from the novel. It goes on this kind of environmental bent. There's a lot of weird things like, okay, in the novel, Ian Malcolm, you find out his ex-girlfriend, Hardy, she's black, she's African American, and there he kind of reunites with her on the island because she's not an ex-wife of his, but she's like a girlfriend. He's like the woman he was dating, and then Ian Malcolm's got a lot of girlfriends. And he's worried about her, so that's part of the reason he goes there. But he's also teaching at a school, and there are these two kids. One's a little white girl, and one's a little black boy. And they're a big fan. There's like his star pupils, and they sneak aboard the plane that he's going on, and wind up on the island. They have to worry about him. At no point does his kids ever show up. But in the movie, we don't do that. In the movie, we got his girlfriend, who's a white woman, and then his daughter sneaks aboard, who's a little black girl. So it's like they took the little white girl and the little black boy and smushed them together. They made an anagram, and they did that. And they kind of changed that for no reason. It's like, why didn't you just do it the way it was in the book? Why didn't you just whatever? The bad guys of the novel were Dobson and Biosyn, the corporation that was trying to get the samples in the first movie and in the first novel. They're never heard from again in this continuity. We never hear from Dobson ever the fuck again in this continuity. It's just kind of, it's like Hammond's aide and a bunch of people who want to, at Genentech, want to continue to exploit the dinosaurs, and a bunch of like hunters and whatnot. That's what we see in the Lost World. And it's just like things are just kind of dumbed down. But at the end of the day, the movie didn't piss me off. There's a whole environmental bent to it. It was like there's Ian Malcolm's upset because the dinosaurs are being captured and are going to be brought to zoos, and so he and his little group decide to free the dinosaurs, and they want to kill a bunch of people and whatnot. The movie's a little dumb. It's a little dumb, especially comparing it to its source material, comparing it to the novel from which it is based off of. And then there's the T-Rex, running loose in Los Angeles, which that didn't happen in the book. But at the end of the day, do I consider the movie bad? Well, the nostalgia critic's bad. We know the nostalgia critic never does anything wrong, and anything he says is gold, and it's not like he's secretly a terrible person who doesn't pay his content contributors and treats them like garbage and does a bunch of other garbage. It's like, it's not like, he's had a bunch of white knights for 10 years that basically, will just basically suck his cock about everything he says. It's like, well, yeah, whatever. I definitely disagree with Doug on this. I don't think it's a bad film. It's an inferior sequel? Yeah, it's an inferior sequel. But it's still a fun movie. It's a dinosaur adventure. They're going to the island, they're interacting with the dinosaurs are attacking them, they're running from T-Rexes and Velociraptors. It's fun. It's a fun time. The T-Rex attacking LA, that's a nod to Godzilla. The movie's kind of doing its own thing. It's definitely deviating from the source material, but it's doing its own thing. So then Jurassic Park 3 comes out. Now, I don't know if y'all know this, but the story behind Jurassic Park 3 is, in the real world, we discovered a new dinosaur. We discovered the Spinosaurus. The Spinosaurus is the largest known, or at least as of the making of that film, the largest sauropod dinosaur we've ever discovered. It's a dinosaur that stands on two legs, much like the T-Rex, but it's bigger than the T-Rex. It has a giant spiny frill on its back like a Metrodon. It has an alligator-like mouth, and it's this huge, giant land-based dinosaur that's bigger than the T-Rex, and could very much kick the T-Rex's ass in combat. And basically, it was this phenomenal find. They found this whole skeleton of it. It's this really awesome, real-world new dinosaur that had never been discovered before. And the makers of Jurassic, just Universal saw that and said, wow, that's really cool. We gotta make another Jurassic Park movie. So they go up to Michael Crichton and they're like, hey, Michael Crichton, we wanted to make another Jurassic Park movie because there's Spinosaurus. Hey, do you want to make a novel based off of this? And Michael Crichton's being kind of a good sport of it, but seeing as how they didn't really use his script necessarily from the novel last time, but he was a good sport about it. He's like, no, guys, that's cool. I don't feel like writing another novel this one, but you guys just go right ahead. You just send me a check, and we're good to go. And that's how Jurassic Park 3 came about. Jurassic Park 3, it's pretty dumb. It's like, why is Alan Grant going back to this island, which he knows is fucking dangerous, to help these idiots who were dumb enough to let their son, parasail over Dinosaur Island, and their kid is most likely dead? I don't know. It's just an excuse to get Sam Neill back on the island, and it's kind of dumb. But what is it? It's a dinosaur adventure movie. Sam Neill's on the island again. He's going on an adventure. We have the Spinosaurus. The Spinosaurus is a badass. It has a fight with the T-Rex, which is awesome. All 5 seconds of it. That's one of my real complaints about Jurassic Park 3. Is like, if you're going to have the T-Rex fight the Spinosaurus, okay, come on. Let the T-Rex do something. Come on, the fight was just way too quick for that one. We have some more stuff with the Raptors. We have some cool stuff with the Pteranodons. It's a fun movie. It's dumb. But it's dumb but fun. That's fine. That doesn't piss me off. That doesn't make me angry. It's like, I don't know. I think a lot of critics want to shoot for quality, which I understand. And that's the thing. It's like, at the end of the day, none of these movies are as good as the original Jurassic Park. And that's what we should all be shooting for. We should all be shooting for quality. We should all be shooting to do a really good science fiction movie. But if you don't have it in you, or that's not what you want, or if you're a hack studio, no offense, yet, and you don't want to do that, that's fine. That's fine. You can give me a dumb movie. I don't mind a dumb movie. Just a popcorn flick. Yeah, just like, again, I love Independence Day and Independence Day 2. Independence Day 1 and 2 are stupid, but they're fun stupid. They're fun popcorn films where aliens, explosions, wah, yay! That's okay. That's okay. As long as you don't piss me off, as long as you're not offensive, as long as you're not annoying, like Michael Bay. That's I think the real distinction between Michael Bay and Roland Emmerich for me is Emmerich's not annoying, whereas Michael Bay is. That's okay. And then Jurassic World comes out. And I love Jurassic World. Jurassic World, unfortunately, of course, Michael Crichton passed away many years ago. And so he hadn't been around to consult about it. But it's like, Jurassic World came out, and I really liked it. It was kind of neat to see, like, what would happen if Hammond's actually got his dream, that there was a full-fledged, functioning theme park, where dinosaurs are interacting. And it's like, and it was a fun dinosaur adventure movie. I thought Chris Pratt was great. It was really cool to see Star-Lord. Let's just call him Star-Lord. I know his name is Owen, but come on, you're all thinking Star-Lord, I'm thinking Star-Lord. It's cool to see Star-Lord in another adventure and being awesome and riding around adventuring with dinosaurs and finding dinosaurs. That's awesome. Bryce Dallas Howard, for my money, is okay in that film. Let me get to the negatives in a minute. I liked Blue. I liked the Raptors, the little Raptor group that he had there. I mean, and again, when the trailers came out for Jurassic World, people were like, man, this is too stupid. This is too stupid. And I saw the trailer, and it's Chris Pratt riding on a motorcycle with a bunch of velociraptors as his buddies. And it's like, yeah, that's dumb. And I am so there. It's my kind of stupid. It's my kind of stupid. It's fun and silly. An adventure with dinosaurs. Let's go there. We got to see some cool dinosaurs. There was the pteranodons. The attack when it happened was really awesome. I think the Mesosaurus, the big. I think it's called the Mesosaurus, I want to say, or the giant crocodile dinosaur that's in the vat in the center. That thing was badass. The Indominus Rex, which was the big mutant dinosaur, was pretty awesome. And the thing is, again, as a fan of the novels, the fact that it could actually camouflage itself and cloak itself, to me, that was a nod to the Carnosaurus in The Lost World. Slight deviation here. For those of you who are fans of Jurassic Park, for those of you who may not know, of course, in Jurassic Park, the Dilophosaurus, which famously killed Dennis Nedry, has the ability to spit poison. Well, this was a creation of the novel, and the thing is, the idea that Michael Crichton had was, well, dinosaurs have been extinct for millions of years, no human being has ever seen one, all we have are the fossil record. What if dinosaurs had various defenses and abilities that modern animals have that wouldn't show up in the fossil record? But if we were to clone, we would discover them. So the idea is that the Dilophosaurus, which normally, according to fossil records, was just a very large dinosaur that kills by gutting its prey with its foreclaws. What if that creature had like the ability to had like some kind of poisonous spit or poisonous bite that it could use? And so that's why it does that in the movies. And it's interesting that there's a video game I got for PlayStation 2, Jurassic the Hunted, which has nothing to do with Jurassic Park. It's a game where a bunch of mercenaries get thrown backwards in time and then fight dinosaurs. And it's a fun little game, fun little first-person shooter. You run into the Dilophosaurus in the game, and the Dilophosaurus is exactly like the Jurassic Park Dilophosaurus. It's got that frill, which we also have no fossil record that it existed, and it spits poison at you. And it's like, it's a blatant ripoff of Jurassic Park. And because that's how prevalent the Dilophosaurus from Jurassic Park has become in our culture, I'm afraid that people might actually forget that the Dilophosaurus, as far as we know, did not have this ability. It's just a creation of the movie. Well, in The Lost World, he expanded on that idea, and the Carnosaurus has a kind of a superpower as well. The Carnosaurus has camouflage. Its skin can reflect light so that if it stands still, it can be perfectly invisible and blend into its environment. And it winds up attacking one of the new main characters of Lost World early on, and basically Ian Malcolm and his friends have to come and deal with it later. And this was actually referenced in some of the video games. For the record, also, as a franchise, Jurassic Park has a really awesome franchise attached to it. It had a bunch of awesome toys. I remember, like, I had the T-Rex. I had T-Rex from when I was a kid, and that was really cool. It had a bunch of really awesome video games. I think most people my age played the Sega Genesis game, which kicked ass. You also had the Nintendo Entertainment System one by Ocean, which had a really awesome, like, haunting soundtrack. That game kicks ass, like Overhead. There's also, like, a couple of Jurassic Park arcade games. There's, like, I think a newer one where, ironically, the whole point is a volcano is going to go off, and a bunch of mercenaries have to go into the island and fight the dinosaurs to tranquilize them and get them off the island. That's interesting enough. But I remember, like, growing up, like, in high school and early college, there's also the Lost World arcade game, where it's like you're in one of the, like, the Jeeps, like the car Jeeps from the Lost World, and you've got these you're running around in that game, and of course your handguns that you use are like tranq guns. But, like, if you play that game, most of the game you're fighting raptors and Dilophosaurus and whatnot. And I think the first two bosses, the first boss is a T-Rex. The second boss is like the big crocodile dinosaur, like in this movie, the Mesosaurus. But the third boss you run into is a Carnotaurus, and the Carnotaurus has the chameleon ability that they had in the novel. It's a reference to the novel. It can actually cloak and go invisible. And when you fight it, it's also got big, giant, crazy chameleon eyes that are darting all over the place. One of its attacks is it shoots its tongue out at you and grapples you. And it's like, and even the cheesy dialogue of the game is like, it's a chameleon-like dinosaur. And it's like, it's a total reference to the novel. So I really like the Indominus because the Indominus' cloaking ability was a reference to the novel. So it looked like they were playing on it. It's like, I thought it was a fun dinosaur adventure movie. I really enjoyed seeing it 3 years ago when it came out. And I really like Lost World. I really like Jurassic World, and the best part about that movie for me was the ending, which to me was just a wrestling match with dinosaurs. It's like that's all it was. It was like, okay. So I want you to bear with me for a minute. So the Indominosaurus Rex, that's your heel wrestler, right? That's your heel. That's Triple H. That's Triple H being an asshole. And so Blue's Eddie Guerrero. And Blue's Eddie Guerrero, he's tiny, he's getting picked on by Triple H, but he's got gumption, he's fast, And the T-Rex is The Rock, obviously. He's the superstar. So it's like The Rock and the T-Rex and the Velociraptor are The Rock and Eddie Guerrero, and Eddie Guerrero or Rey Mysterio. Eddie Guerrero, may he rest in peace. Or Rey Mysterio. Rey Mysterio's still alive. The Velociraptor is Rey Mysterio. The T-Rex is The Rock. And they got to put aside their differences and team up against Triple H. And the problem is Triple H is a badass, so it's like for a while he's kicking their ass, but eventually they start fighting. They start fighting with gumption. They start kicking his ass. And what does the Indominus do? The Indominus immediately starts bitching out like a heel wrestler. It's like, oh no, I gotta run away. They're being mean to me. And it backs up to the pool, and immediately the Mesosaurus comes out and bites its head off. That's the Big Show. The Big Show just jumps out of nowhere, bites Triple H's head off, and it's awesome. And the whole ending of the movie is like, a T-Rex, a Velociraptor, and a giant crocodile dinosaur holding the belt over their heads. And it's like, I might be confusing this with the WrestleMania I saw. I don't know. But that's what it felt like to me. It felt like a big, awesome, like, dino wrestling match, and it was great. Complete with, like, the Velociraptor and the T-Rex becoming friends. It was, like, right at the end, like, and they're cool with each other. That was great. So, I really liked the movie. I thought it was a lot of fun. And people were all warning me, oh man, Fallen Kingdom's gonna be stupid. And I was like, as long as it's my type of stupid, I'm okay with it. I was really excited for this film. I was hoping this would be good. I was hoping to be pleasantly surprised. So the premise being that a volcano is gonna blow up and threaten the dinosaurs. So Star-Lord and Bryce Dallas had got to go rescue the dinosaurs. And once again, the volcano thing. The volcano thing has been a thing kind of in the background of, like, the franchise of Jurassic Park, not the books or the movies. But it's like, this has been telegraphed before. This has been a thing in the fucking video games, because when you don't know what to do when you're on a tropical island with dinosaurs, have a volcano. Because in prehistoric times there were volcanoes, so if you have dinosaurs, you need a volcano. In all of the video games, there's, like, a volcano. Like, in the Sega Genesis, Jurassic Park game, there's a volcano level that both, I think, Alan Grant and the Velociraptor can go to. There's in the Jurassic Park arcade game they had at Chuck E. Cheese. There's a volcano that erupts and like chunks of the volcano start flying at you, and you can shoot it out of the air because that's how guns work in real life. You just shoot rocks out of the air, especially flaming rocks. Yeah, that it's there. In the newer Jurassic Park video game, you're trying to save the dinosaurs from an erupting volcano. It's literally the plot of this film, literally. So it's like, okay, it's about time they use the volcano idea. So they did this, and it's like, so I knew going in, this movie didn't have the best reviews. I knew going in, this movie was going to be dumb. And I was fine. I was fine with that. I've been ranting for 25 minutes, giving you my entire backstory about dinosaurs, and my love of dinosaurs, and my love of Jurassic Park. And it just, I just got to say, I wanted to prep you. I was warned this movie was going to be stupid. I was fine with that. As long as it was my kind of stupid, it was fine. As long as it was a fun adventure with dinosaurs, I'd be fine. It's going to be okay. As long as it doesn't piss me off. Well, this movie pissed me the fuck off. This movie is the first Jurassic Park movie I've ever seen in my entire life to actively piss me the fuck off. I knew I was going to get stupid. I knew this movie was going to get dumb. I didn't realize how stupid. I realized how stupid we could make a Jurassic Park movie. Oh, I found the fuck out. This movie's retarded. This movie is so fucking stupid and so unsatisfying. There was not a moment where this movie didn't it started off like okay, and then it just after a while it got to the point where I was yelling at the screen constantly, and there was just nothing redeemable about this. It's like, I know I've been going on and on about Star Wars and whatnot, and is this movie as bad as Solo or The Last Jedi? Well, you know, the makers of this movie haven't been talking about how I'm anti-dinosaur for not liking this film, or how I'm sexist or racist for not liking this film, or I just don't like white men and women for not liking this film. So I guess it's not as bad as for that reason, but as a Jurassic Park fan, this movie really did piss me off. This movie was very unsatisfying. It started off promising enough, where we got kind of mercenary dudes on the island doing something, trying to get parts of the Indominus, and they get killed, and I'm like, all right, I'm fine with that. That's fine. And then there's kind of a slow build where we discover Bryce Dallas is working as like is working to protect the dinosaurs and kind of like, you know, kind of make up for what she feels was her for exploiting the dinosaurs prior. She's basically fighting to make sure that the dinosaurs are protected or are a protected species. And she's working with two annoying fucking characters who I would grow to hate. Including Danielle Pineda's character, who I'll talk about her later. And then she goes to a mansion, and she meets James Cromwell. I love James Cromwell. And James Cromwell's an old dude who apparently was a friend of Hammond's, who we've never fucking heard of before, and helped like envision like what's going to happen. And he's got a plan. We're gonna go to the island, and basically the problem is that there's a volcano on the island, which we've never mentioned prior to this point, that's going to explode. It's an extinction level event. It's going to kill all the dinosaurs. The government doesn't know what to do. Should we get involved? I had started having problems early on with that, actually. Is it like because it was the U.S. government that was having the problem with this? Like, okay, I started asking a bunch of complex legal questions to myself when thinking about this, which I think is a bad sign. Because honestly, if you're doing a science fiction film and you have an ounce of intelligence, it should be addressed or maybe hinted at, because that would be a good idea. But Isla Nublar is in Costa Rica. Isn't this a matter of the Costa Rican government? Shouldn't the Costa Rican government make a decision on this first? Why is the U.S. got to get involved? I mean, we just got to be the world police again? I don't know, whatever. I mean, the theory being is that these are endangered species, and it's like, should we step in and actually protect these things? Should they be, since they're genetically engineered, should they be afforded the same rights as other endangered species, and thus should we get involved? I suppose it's a decent debate. And we get Jeff Goldblum as Ian Malcolm again, who's basically speaking before Congress and saying, no, let them die. And it's like, this might be, This might be nature correcting a mistake of ours. We have harnessed God's power, and we don't know the damage of what we've created right here, and this might be nature's way of correcting things. It seems a little contrary to Ian Malcolm's attitude during the events of the Lost World Jurassic Park, where he was going so far as to freeing the dinosaurs and wanting to ensure that the dinosaurs on Isle Sorna were left alone and not messed with, and he was all environmental. And all of a sudden, he's like, no, don't get involved. To be fair, it's not too out of character for him, seeing as how he knows how dangerous the dinosaurs are. He's been warning about how dangerous the dinosaurs are since they discovered that Hammett had made a Brachiosaurus, like in the first movie. And he's almost died at the hands of dinosaurs numerous times, especially that time a T-Rex bit his leg. So if there's anybody that's genuinely afraid of dinosaurs and genuinely knows how dangerous they can be, and could be like, look, no. It kind of makes sense. At the same time, it's like, okay, then why were you all super, let's go save these dinosaurs in the Lost World? Whatever. It's not that big of a plot hole. My objection to it is the fact that you went to all the trouble to bring Jeff Goldblum back in these movies, get an original cast member, and he's only in the movie at the beginning and the end. He bookends the movie. And he serves no purpose. He doesn't go on the adventure. He doesn't get involved. I mean, in character, I don't think he'd want to. But, I mean, it's kind of like, you went all the trouble of putting your Ian Malcolm in this movie, and then he doesn't really do anything in the movie. He makes a couple speeches, which are well-written speeches. I'll give him that. And implying the danger of what's going on here. But there's a lot of... But it's just like, okay, we're not at the point where I got mad. We'll get there. So anyway, she's got to go... It's like, now we're in the realm of, okay, this is dumb, but okay, it's fine. So now Bryce Dallas Howard goes and gets Star-Lord, because apparently Blue is super important, and Blue is the last of her kind, and they need to get Blue, and the only person who can track and find Blue is Owens. So they gotta get Owens, and so she goes and meets him at his cabin he's building, and she takes him out for a beer. And okay, so I think now's a good point to talk about Bryce Dallas Howard and my feelings about her, because I didn't even talk about her in Jurassic World. So, for my money, and this is a problem I'm noticing with these films, is like, okay, one of the flaws of the Jurassic World was like the kids. Like, we didn't need those two kids. Those two kids didn't need to be in the movie, and they didn't really bring anything. We could have just followed Star-Lord the entire time, and the movie would have been awesome for it. And then there's the fact that Bryce Dallas Howard didn't really bring much to the table in the first movie. She brought a little bit. She brought, she was kind of the corporate person in charge of the park that felt like she was in control, and then realized, oh shit, I'm not in control. She's not terrible in Jurassic World, but it feels like Chris Pratt steals the show and is kind of the reason you should watch the movie. However, and then there's outrunning dinosaurs in high heels. There's that shit, including outrunning a T-Rex in high heels, which is like, okay. Again, Jurassic World is dumb, but I like it. It's enjoyable. One thing I liked about Bryce Dallas in the first film was I actually really liked the chemistry she had with Chris Pratt. They came across as kind of an old school Hollywood, romance couple. It was like kind of a Tracy and Hepburn sort of thing going on. It's like Chris Pratt was like, it felt like I was watching like King Kong. Chris Pratt was like an old school adventure hero who's going to go to some weird island where there's monsters on it and go on an adventure, and then she's his sassy partner who doesn't really like him, and they argue all the time, but there's a budding romance between the two of them, and it felt like that was what was going on with the two of them. So that's what I liked about her in the first film, and she's reasonably likable in this movie, but after a while I think she gets kind of tiresome. And it feels like the real problem with this movie is at a certain point you realize the only person carrying this film is Chris Pratt. The only person who is doing all the heavy lifting acting-wise and charm-wise out of all these characters is him. So she doesn't initially convince him. He eventually shows up. He wants to. Some of the good stuff the good stuff in this film revolves around Chris Pratt as being a very likable action adventure lead. And the stuff with him in Blue is like they really set up that basically there is this. He really cares about Blue. And like Blue is basically like his child, or more accurately like his dog, and he has a really strong affectionate relationship with his dog, and vice versa. And so, like, and they cut to a lot of footage of him raising Blue and raising the raptors as babies and training them, and how, like, he noticed that Blue is different from the other raptors, and that Blue, whereas if you show weakness around the other raptors, they attack you, but Blue doesn't do that. Blue comes and comforts you, and, like, there's genuine affection between him and this raptor, which is kind of contrary to what we showed in the previous movie. In Jurassic World, it was very clear that Chris Pratt had affection for Blue and the other raptors, but he also knew what they were and knew how dangerous they were. And even though he can kind of calm them down and talk them down and whatnot, they were still wild fucking animals and dangerous. And, like, even though, like, there was clearly some affection between him and Blue, and he could get Blue to do things and talk Blue and things, you could always tell that Blue was always kind of looking at him like, man, he looks delicious. Blue, on some level, always felt like she still looked at Owens like he was food. And it was kind of a real world thing I liked. And that one of the things they, about zookeepers is, I remember there's a guy, another thing I grew up with is I grew up with a lot of National Geographic specials, and there's a really good one I saw about gorillas when I was a kid. And in it they talk about a zookeeper from England known as Aspinall. And he has these big, he basically had there's all this private land because he was like, he ran a bunch of casinos and things like that, and he had a private collection of animals that he grew and that he eventually turned into a zoo. And he had these big enclosures for gorillas and tigers and elephants, and he was considered a model zookeeper and kind of looked up to for a lot of people. And especially his gorilla enclosures were good because they were large enough and had enough stuff in them that you could have whole herds of gorillas, and the gorillas could act and function naturally as if they were in the wild. The gorillas didn't get bored as easily, and they had less mental problems and whatnot. And it was a really interesting thing. But one thing I took away from it was that he talks about whenever he would enter an enclosure with lions, tigers, elephants, or gorillas, what have you, whatever wild animal you're in an enclosure with, you always you make sure you respect the animal. You always make sure you're a little bit afraid of the animal because they're wild animals. And even if you've been raising that tiger since it was a baby, that tiger can still rip you in half because it's a fucking tiger. And even if that tiger loves you, you piss that tiger off, that tiger can kill you effortlessly. So you have to respect the animals you're with. You have to be a little bit scared of them. You have to respect them. And he also wants to make sure the animals are a little bit afraid of him too. That mutual respect is required for dealing with wild animals. And it was very clear that was what was going on in Jurassic World. Whereas that Chris Owens knew that, like, he loves the raptors, but he knows they're dangerous. And there's clearly respect and some kind of relationship with the raptors and him, but the raptors are still just a hop and a skip and a jump from eating him too, based on their natural instincts. And so we kind of went from that to Blue being completely tame, which is a little silly. Again, it's dumb, but whatever. So they finally get to the island. This is what I'm waiting for. This is all I care about. I don't care how stupid this movie is. Just have adventures on an island. Have adventures with dinosaurs on the island. And they run into these evil military guys who we don't know are evil. Well, if you've seen the trailer, you know they're evil. But, they're the guys supporting the effort and what's going on. So, the moment we get to the island, I now want to talk about, where the movie started going downhill for me. As I said, I don't care how dumb your movie is. I don't care how technically bad your movie is. I don't care how bad your acting is. I don't care how bad your plot is. I don't care whether you're Puppet Master 7, or if you're The Room, or if you're Santa Claus Conquers the Martians, or if you're anything on the docket that's been made fun of by Mystery Science Theater 3000. I don't care if you're a low budget piece of garbage that was shot in your basement, with cutout monsters. I don't care how cheesy or bad your production is, technically. Yeah, as long as you do your best and you tell a fun story, or at least you're entertaining, even if you're entertaining for just how bad your film is, I don't consider you a bad movie. If you have annoying fucking characters, if you're obnoxious, and you bother me, if watching your movie is a fucking chore because your movie is that stupid, that's when I consider your movie bad. If I find your movie offensive, that's when I find your movie bad. If you take a beloved character like, I don't know, Luke Skywalker, and run him through the mud and claim that he's a child murderer, and you have some weird kind of obnoxious agenda you're trying to push with some kind of stupid droid that allegedly Lando Calrissian, the most charismatic man in the galaxy, is fucking, then I have a problem with your movie and I consider your movie bad. I can handle stupid. I can tolerate stupid. I cannot tolerate annoying me. I cannot tolerate going out of my way to piss me off. And now I want to talk about the new characters, because this is where it happened. This movie introduces two little sidekicks of Bryce Dallas's. And they are blisteringly annoying. One in particular. One is less annoying than the other one. Okay, the first one is a paleo veterinarian played by Danielle Pineda, who is a sassy woman who is like, she's a veterinarian for dinosaurs, but she's never actually seen a dinosaur. So this is a woman who has a degree to do something that is completely and 100% impractical. And, like, there is absolutely no reason to get this fucking degree whatsoever. Unless, like, she actually worked at Jurassic World when it was open. And again, why not? Why couldn't she have just been the paleo veterinarian that was on staff at Jurassic World when the park was still functioning? Why couldn't she have actually had experience seeing dinosaurs and knowing dinosaur anatomy and just have been an activist? Okay, why not? No, they don't do that with her. They don't do that with her. She's just kind of like this weird hipster character that's a little annoying and sassy for no reason. And her entire function in the movie is Blue gets injured, so her entire function is just to keep Blue alive. That's it. She is just a respirator for Blue. She does nothing in the film. So she's minorly annoying. The really annoying character is the tech guy they have. They have an IT guy that they need to open up, like, the network in order to activate the trackers on the dinosaurs so they can find them. And this guy is supposed to be the comic relief, and he is unbelievably fucking annoying. He's this whiny little pussy who has no business being on this adventure, who does nothing but scream as loud as he possibly can, and he's just really annoying and blisteringly annoying. And the thing is, and this is crucial, this is my real problem with this movie, he never fucking dies. It's like it's like horror movies. You know, if you introduce an annoying character, make Jason Voorhees kill that character off as soon as possible. I don't understand what this is. I don't understand why, like, Hollywood is insistent in making protagonists that we're supposed to identify with but are unbelievably annoying and obnoxious. I don't get this. I didn't understand this in Transformers 2 when we were introduced to Leo or the twins or any of their annoying characters in that fucking movie. I don't understand why it continues to go on. I don't understand why we still have comic relief characters. Stop making comic relief. We don't need comic relief anymore. I would argue we probably never needed comic relief. Just tell a fucking story. It's not necessary. You don't need a character to be funny. You know, if something funny happens, you know, okay, fine. Like, okay, Groot and Rocket Raccoon in Guardians of the Galaxy and the Avengers movies, you could argue they're comic relief, but they're also, like, vital to the plot, and they're badasses, and they get things done. They're not just comic relief. And also, they're Marvel movies. Every character, like, jokes at a certain point. Including, like for fuck's sake, Black Panther's little sister Shuri starts cracking wise at a certain point. Making fun of him for being in slippers. You don't need comic relief anymore. You don't need to do it, so why are they here? There's absolutely no reason for this character to be here. He's just a fucking annoying, and he never fucking dies. So then, things all just start falling apart completely in this movie when they find Blue. So they find Blue, and Star-Lord starts calming Blue down, and then all of a sudden, like, the guards, like, screw up and shoot Blue with a tranquilizer dart and knock her out. Or no, it doesn't knock her out. It tranquilizes her, and then that pisses her off, so she winds up attacking another one of the soldiers and starts mauling him, and so he shoots her. So that's why Daniel Pineda has to be the freaking, like, you know, like the defibrillator for Blue the whole movie, because he gets wounded, or she gets wounded. They're all female. All the dinosaurs are female. So, like, you know, it's like, it's so weird. And then, like, okay, Chris Pratt gets mad. He charges the general guy. The general guy shoots him with a tranquilizer dart. Out of nowhere, like, the veterinarian lady runs up to Chris Pratt, grabs a gun, puts the gun on the general guy. The general guy points the gun at her. All his men point the gun at her, and then she's like, if you shoot me, I'm the only person that can keep that dinosaur alive. If you shoot me, then that dinosaur's gonna die, and you're fucked. And it's like, so I will shoot you. You know, if you kill me, if you want me to take care of that dinosaur, you better let me live and better take me with you. And it's and he's like, oh, well, why don't you just take care of the dinosaur because I tell you to? And so he takes her with him, and they just leave Chris Pratt to die in the fucking woods. So this is like the first moment where just everything just kind of falls apart structurally. Another person I've been watching is like, again, one of another YouTube channel I can always recommend is Mauler. Mauler goes into this. This entire scene doesn't make any fucking sense because, like, first of all, what was the plan for bringing in Blue? At some point, you're gonna have to trank her. At some point, you have to tranquilize her, knock her unconscious, and bring her on board the ship in order to get her out of there. There's no, like, that's something you're gonna have to do. You can't. So, like, why is this like a big deal? It's like they're gonna have to do it eventually. But Star-Lord acts like this is like a huge betrayal that he gets knocked unconscious, and of course they could have played this off as, oh, slip of the accident. Hey, I'm glad you're not alive. I'm glad you're not dead because, you know, it's a tranquilizer meant for dinosaurs. I could have killed you with that. I'm glad you're all right. Some bullshit like that. You know, and then all of a sudden they're acting like this is a suddenly huge betrayal, and we find out, okay, of course these characters are evil, and so they are going to betray them. But it's like they betrayed them early, like they fucked up. But it's like these characters are not doing anything out of the ordinary. They're still trying to rescue the dinosaurs. They have evil plans for the dinosaurs, but the characters don't know that yet. But like, it's all of a sudden like the betrayals happen, and then they just abandon Chris Pratt in the woods. I guess they're mercenaries, and he's gonna die here. But like, there's like no reason to kill him. They decided, yeah, we're just gonna abandon him in the woods because we're idiots. So I mean, or if they really want him dead, well, why not just shoot him, and then when the place gets blown up by a volcano, there's not going to be any evidence anyway. There's no reason for it. So, so then Bryce Dallas and the tech guy get stuck underground. They get stuck in like part of the facility. They get locked in. We find out later that they had actually been locked in intentionally to die. The volcano starts going off. Lava starts seeping into the room, and this hatch opens up and another dinosaur comes in. This is one of the most annoying scenes in the movie because the tech guy is just screaming constantly and being annoying and never dies. And they fucking escape. They act stupid. They could have clearly, they activated something to clearly open the door or open, like, this escape hatch, and instead of just going to the escape hatch, they fuck around for a little while. So then the volcano goes off. The dinosaurs start running. We see a little bit of the dinosaurs. We see a Carnosaurus. The Carnosaurus does not have the cloaking ability. We see a Carnosaurus. We have like a couple brief dino fights where like a T-Rex instantly, like the Carnosaurus is about to eat them, but then the T-Rex instantly bites the fuck out of it and kills it. And like, so again, I think it was faster than the fight with like the Spinosaurus and the T-Rex, which was dumb. But like, there's, you know, like we have a bunch of dinosaurs running from the volcano. They're running from the volcano. Volcano's like devastating the island. There's a scene where they get inside one of those stupid balls that was in the first Jurassic World. And Mauler was really impressed by the scene, how basically like it starts, like the whole thing's filling up with water, and there's all one take, and Star-Lord has to run around trying to break the thing open. It's like a really impressive shot, and it's really cool, and it's like, it's technically, I would argue it was kind of a cool scene, yes, but the problem is like the characters inside the ball that are about to die are Bryce Dallas Howard and this annoying tech guy. And I really want the annoying tech guy to die. So, like, he's been nothing but annoying this entire movie. I don't like him. And there's no tension because it's actually annoying me because the annoying character is not dying. And I know he's going to live through the movie because that's the way this movie is basically structured. And then there's Bryce Dallas Howard, who is, again, not terrible in this movie, but also not one of my favorite characters, and it's just kind of meh. And so it's like, I don't really care about these people. I don't really care about these people surviving or getting out. If I cared about them, this would be a very tense scene, but it isn't. So then there's this really dumb action scene where they basically steal a truck and basically like wind up leaping the truck back onto the ship that's leaving. And it's a really dumb, stupid scene. It's like this movie doubled down on stupid, and it doubled down on stupid so hard that I couldn't even make the excuse that, oh, it's my kind of stupid, because no, this movie is too stupid. This movie is so stupid, it's undeniable. Okay, why am I complaining about this? My big reason for complaining about this is like, so we've barely been on the island, and the volcano goes off, and now we're not on the island anymore. One of my biggest problems with this film, and I think one of the things that's really disappointing and really frustrating about this movie, is that, again, say what you will about the other Jurassic Park sequels. Of course, the first Jurassic Park is undeniably a masterpiece, and nothing else holds a candle to that. No argument for me there. The reason the other ones I enjoy is because even though they're dumb, they're still adventure movies with dinosaurs, and it's like, to me, it's like part of what makes a Jurassic Park sequel work is you're on a tropical island. You're on either an active or abandoned dinosaur theme park with dinosaurs running loose everywhere. And then you have the humans running around, going on adventure, fighting or running from the dinosaurs. And that's fun, it's fun, exciting, and adventurous to me. I love that adventure feel of these films. And Lost World Jurassic Park, Jurassic Park 3, and Jurassic World do that, and do that well. Here, Jurassic Park Fallen Kingdom, we are literally on the island for 5 minutes. 5 minutes, the volcano goes off, and we're done with the island forever. And it's really annoying. The vast majority of this fucking movie takes place in a haunted fucking house. A haunted fucking house with dinosaurs. And it's fucking stupid. It's fucking stupid. It has none of the qualities that I want from a Jurassic Park movie. It has nothing fun about a dinosaur film. It just like, okay, we had a volcano sequence that was kind of neat, I guess, but it's like, it's over and done, and now the island's destroyed. And it's really stupid, and it's not what I expect from a Jurassic Park movie. Okay, a couple other things I want to point out. So now, much like I complained about the stormtroopers in Solo, so now that like the bad guys are in full-on evil mode, they start doing the same shit that I had a problem with in Solo, where the stormtroopers are needlessly cruel for no reason because, you know, we have to fucking beat you over the head with like, oh, by the way, these are the bad guys. So they're rounding up the dinosaurs. They're still saving the dinosaurs, but they're rounding them into prison, into cages and things like that. And we have a bunch of scenes that need to show that these guys are needlessly cruel for no fucking reason. There's an ankylosaurus in a cage, and some asshole kicks his foot off the side of it just because, to be a dick. We have a couple of beleaguered workers who I don't think we're supposed to come across as cruel, but I think that's the way they were trying to sell it, where they're trying to hold like an apatosaurus down by roping its neck, and it's screaming in agony, and there's like but at the same time it's also kind of free. It's not really detained that well, and like at any moment it could probably trample and kill them. And they don't look like they're trying to hurt it. They're just trying to hold it down, and they're having to rush because the volcano is going off. There's a predatory dinosaur that's being held by a crane, and it's bitching and moaning. And then the bad guy, the Buffalo Bill dude, he goes up to a tranquilized stegosaurus and goes up with this weird toothpick. He basically goes up to the stegosaurus and rips one of its teeth out because he's got a fucking teeth fetish. He's just needlessly cruel. And that pissed me off too, because the stegosaurus is my favorite dinosaur. I love the stegosaurus. The stegosaurus is my favorite fucking dinosaur, and he ripped out the stegosaurus's teeth, and fuck that guy. But it's like, again, it's like, why? Why? You don't need to like beat us over the head with these people are the bad guys. You don't need to make them needlessly cruel, but they did it. It was stupid. Okay, so at certain points too, we then cut from the island, which is something we've never done in a Jurassic Park film. We cut from the island and go to a completely different location. Instead of focusing on the cool island with the dinosaurs on it, we cut away to the mansion that we started off at in the movie with Bryce Dallas Howard. And there's this annoying little fucking girl. And by the way, I just want to say, fuck kids. I'm sick and tired of kids. I hate kids. And look, okay, listen. Look, when they're your kids or your family's kids, like your nephew or your friends, okay, kids are wonderful. I'm not saying I hate children. I'm just saying children that are not your own or you have any personal connection with can oftentimes be unbelievably annoying. And children in movies are fucking insufferable. Okay? They're insufferable. We didn't need kids in the last movie. We don't need a kid in this movie. And we have a fucking kid in this movie. there's this little girl who we keep cutting back to, and admittedly, all right, she's a good actress, and she does a good job with the scene she's in, but she's annoying, and she's taking away with the reason why we're here, the fucking dinosaurs. So we keep cutting back to the mansion and focusing on the stupid kid who's discovering that, like, the business guy who James Cromwell's put in charge of his fortune is evil, and he has evil plans for the dinosaurs, and he keeps on listening into his evil schemes and finding out what's going on, and it's like, okay, I don't need this. I don't care about this. I don't care about this kid. I don't care about this character. And it's like, this is all stuff that we could have done. We don't need this kid here. We could have done all this evil exposition stuff just by showing us. You could have just taken us some time where we're just hanging out with the villains. And the villains are talking about their evil plan. And there's nobody lurking in on it. We don't need that. We could have Star-Lord, like, freaking save the day just fine, and it would be fine. And that would be okay. But no, we keep cutting back this little kid. It's really fucking annoying. So they're on the stupid... we go back to our heroes. At no point in time did the bad guys ever, like, check and figure out that, like, oh, those people we were trying to kill are still alive. And like, they literally get all the way to the freaking mansion without getting caught until they finally get caught at the mansion, you know, with this whole thing. That's dumb. There's a whole scene where they have to give Blue a blood transfusion from the T-Rex so that it's sneaking the T-Rex pen, which causes the T-Rex to eventually almost kill Star-Lord and start smashing all the places. Nobody comes to guard the damn thing. Nobody comes to inspect why is the T-Rex acting weird. Not to mention, I think a blood transfusion on a completely different species would probably be bad for Blue. But no, this movie's retarded, so, you know, that never comes up. So, evil plan. What is the evil plan? Okay, so they're doubling down on the bioweapon plot. It's like the whole thing from the previous movie where the evil Navy guy was, I want to turn the raptors into a weapon. They want to turn the dinosaurs into a weapon. And it's like, okay, so here's the thing. In principle, I am fine with the I will make a weapon shtick in science fiction. It's something that's very prevalent in sci-fi. It's very much a cliche. We see it happens in Star Trek all the fucking time. Like, very often, whenever there's any type of science fiction storyline, where whatever the set piece is, the big set piece where, like, it's a robot or an alien or a virus or zombies or whatever, it's usually, and I will turn it into a weapon. It happens. I'm fine with bioweapons. I am fine. To me, it is. Look, it's a little corny, it's a little cliche, but I am perfectly fine with the bad guys being like, I'm going to turn whatever X is into a bioweapon. I'm fine, whether it's a xenomorph or a zombie virus or like a giant robot or a Terminator, I'm fine. I am perfectly fine with turning dinosaurs into bioweapons. I am perfectly, again, I'm a Dino Riders fan. That's basically what happened in Dino Riders. So, I'm fine with this. And you can get very creative with it, and certainly something like the Dinosaurs Rex would make sense as a bioweapon. So that's what their plan is. They're trying to turn dinosaurs into bioweapons, but they're also... Their real plan was they wanted to grab a bunch of dinosaurs real fast before they all go extinct on the island, and then sell them at an auction. I have several problems with this. First of all, let's talk about something I haven't addressed before. So, we're told that this is an extinction level event. That when this volcano goes off, it's going to wipe dinosaurs off the face of the earth again. And they're going to be annihilated. Okay. I have a problem with this on the grounds of continuity. At no point in time does anybody bring up Isle Sorna, the Lost World. It just doesn't exist anymore. We just don't talk about it. And it's like, at no point in time do we reference what has previously happened. And the thing is, though, this has come up multiple times in both the novels and in the movies. At the end of Jurassic Park, the book, Alan Grant and everybody are rescued by the military, and the military carpet bombs the shit out of the island. They fucking do an airstrike on it and blow the crap out of it and destroy Isle Nublar. However, before they do that, a bunch of velociraptors jump on board of a ship and escape and wind up making it to the mainland. And now velociraptors are alive and well somewhere in the jungles of Costa Rica. And Alan Grant gets questioned by the Costa Rican authorities. So that happens. And then in the Lost World, we discovered there was another island, Isle Sorna, where the dinosaurs were actually bred, and that facility was abandoned, and now those dinosaurs are running free on that island, and that was the whole reason why they go there. When Ian Malcolm and his group go there, they just escape the island eventually, and nothing happens to the island. So that island still exists. That island, that lost world with dinosaurs in the continuity of the novels, is still there and thriving, and dinosaurs exist there as this untouched place where dinosaurs are alive. Now, in the movies, we are told in the Lost World Jurassic Park, that Isle Nublar was destroyed, and that all the dinosaurs on the island were destroyed. However, Isle Sorna exists, and that was where we were the whole thing with the raptors, being hatched in front of everybody, that was just for show, that was just for the tours. The place where the dinosaurs are actually grown is the facility on Isle Sorna. So we're told that, we are told, but never shown, that the dinosaurs were wiped out on Isle Nublar, which of course is the only island we deal with in this movie. So then, at the end of the Lost World, again, they just escape. They don't destroy the dinosaurs. And Hammond goes on, to talk about, once the T-Rex is taken back from Los Angeles to Isle Nublar, John Hammond talks about how I created these dinosaurs. This is a place where dinosaurs exist. We should leave these animals alone and let them exist without us, but let dinosaurs exist and let these lost creatures like exist in this lost world and be survive without us, and this will be a wonderful place where dinosaurs can still exist and thrive, and it can be secluded and all that. Then we go to Jurassic Park 3, and the dumb kid and his family think, hey, let's parasail over Dinosaur Island and get our child captured, or get our child lost there and possibly eaten by dinosaurs, and get like the lady's current husband killed by dinosaurs. That's a good idea. So now we have to put a paleontologist, Alan Grant's life in harm's way, trick him to going there, basically abduct him in order to save our son. And at the very end of the movie, Laura Dern, I love you, Laura Dern. I love you because you're Ellie Sattler. I hated your character in Star Wars, but you're still awesome to me. You were a great actress and an awesome person. Laura Dern, Ellie Sattler Grant, calls the army, and the army shows up with a bunch of tanks, and they rescue Alan Grant and everybody. Everybody's cool. At no point in time do we see them destroy the island. It's kind of implied that maybe they did at that point. That maybe they bombed the shit out of it. A bunch of tanks were there to start blasting shit in case T-Rexes showed up. But we never actually see them do it. They just kind of show up as the cavalry and come to the rescue. And then we never talk about Isle Sorna ever again. It's not even mentioned in the Lost World. We're just back on Isle Nublar again. And the original park, Jurassic Park, is known as Site B, quote unquote. Where just everything's still there. It's abandoned. It doesn't look like it was shelled. It doesn't look like it was blown up by airstrikes. It's just nothing happened. So as far as we know, Isle Sorna is still there. Isle Sorna is still there. The dinosaurs on Isle Sorna are still there, thriving. The pteranodons have left the island before and probably gone to the mainland a couple times. It's still there. We never talk about Isle Sorna. Isle Sorna just doesn't exist anymore. And yet the dinosaurs are going to get wiped out because a volcano is going to go up on a completely different island. So that's not mentioned. So that's a huge-ass plot hole that's really irritating. But allegedly, according to this movie, there's an extinction level event and this fucking volcano is going to wipe them out. All right. Why hasn't anybody gone to either Isle Sorna or Isle Nublar after Jurassic World has fallen and has poached these animals already? Because they're trying to sell them on the black market. Okay, how come there aren't tons of poachers or other evil characters who want to turn dinosaurs into bioweapons? How come they haven't already been there? How come there aren't situations like in Jurassic Park 3 where you have tourists, stupid tourists, going to the remains of the Lost World, the remains of Jurassic World, and getting themselves killed by like, hey, I see a dinosaur, bah, and they get eaten by something. How come that doesn't happen? How come we've never heard anything about that thus far? How come these assholes waited to literally hours before a volcano would wipe out all the dinosaurs on this island and allegedly wipe them out from existence to do this, to pull this little auction? How come this isn't already something that's already been previously done? It makes no fucking sense. It makes no sense why this hasn't happened previously. So they take them there. They don't kill Star-Lord or Bryce. They just lock them up and try to claim that, oh, you and I are the same, which is total bullshit. By the way, spoilers. That's already going to be in the title of this video, but whatever. Yeah, fuck it. I'm spoiling this whole movie for you because fuck this movie. They're okay. So then the other problem I had. Okay, and Mahler brought this up, but he's fucking right. Okay, it's a cool idea to turn dinosaurs into bioweapons. Okay, I am the first person who thinks any like sci-fi dystopia can be improved by having Nazis riding dinosaurs. I am the first person to say that. Again, that's cool. That's a cool idea, using dinosaurs as bioweapons. The fact of the matter is, dinosaurs are a really bad idea to use as weapons. And in fact, like the movie makes excuses that humans have been using animals in warfare for years, and their examples they use are horses and elephants, which are completely outdated because we have cars and tanks now. They bring up the Soviets using disease-ridden rats. They could probably use other things too, but the fact of the matter is, wild animals the fact of the matter is, today's modern military is effective enough. We don't really need to utilize animals as readily or as often as we previously have. We still do. The military does have canine units. Police use canine units. They've talked about like I think during World War II we actually used dolphins as like bomb disposal, to dismantle bombs and things like that. I want to say that was a thing we did, and that's a thing that's been touched upon, is the idea of using dolphins for bomb disposal and whatnot. I think that's still a thing. That's or at least it was a thing. It's like, yeah, we still do stuff like this, but not to this extent. There's a reason we don't use tigers or rhinoceroses in fucking warfare, because the fact of the matter is, the military, our military weaponry and weapons and vehicles and whatnot are more effective. We don't need to utilize monsters, or we don't need to utilize wild animals to get the job done. Animals that don't have armored skin, or that can't survive basically a grenade. There's no reason to put animals in harm's way, and especially when they wouldn't even be that effective in the first place. And the fact of the matter is, the dinosaurs, although they are gigantic and cool and badass, at the end of the day, they're just large wild animals. Mahler did a very good job of pointing out why they would not be effective as weapons. They require food and sleep and energy. They have heightened metabolisms. They're very expensive. They're endangered. They're large targets. They can't be controlled. They can't communicate effectively. They're non-sentient. They would not be. Yeah, he basically, Mahler said they'd be shit in a war. I'm gonna put Mahler's video in the description. His video is really good. But it's like, they'd be shit in a war, and he's absolutely right. They would be shit in a war. They would be ineffective. So it's like, the logic is dumb here. And again, I can forgive that. I can forgive them doubling down on this. But it's just like, they're not doing anything cool with this. It's like, for fuck's sake, if you're gonna do this, go balls deep. Show there's a mutant dinosaur in this movie, and we already had the Indominus Rex in the last one. Go balls deep. Show that the Asian guy, the scientist from the first Jurassic Park, show that guy's been making crazy shit. Show a cyborg Triceratops with a machine gun growing out of his back. Show a T-Rex with laser eyes. Something. Show stuff like that. Show maybe human dinosaur hybrids that can communicate with the raptors and direct them. If you're gonna go crazy sci-fi, go crazy sci-fi. But whatever. They're selling these dinosaurs in the black market so they can use them as bioweapons, or I don't know, weird sexual fetishes, or just so little Sergey could ride it like it is a pony. You'd have a glorified dinosaur petting zoo, whatever. For whatever reason, they're selling these dinosaurs in the black market. Let's get to the auction. Okay, you want to know the prices that the people are basically paying for unique endangered species, animals that cost billions of dollars each just to be genetically grown and cloned. You know how much the Ankylosaurus, the first dinosaur, goes for? That they sell, they auction up. One of a kind, last of its kind dinosaur. Super expensive, cost billions of dollars just to clone in a lab. Only one of its kind, and as pointed out, could possibly be effective as a bioweapon. You know how much it goes for? $10 million. $10 million. $10 million for a super rare endangered species that was genetically engineered. That is absolutely priceless. That could probably cost billions of dollars just to create. $10 million. $10 million is a lot of money to people like me, to people like me who don't have a whole lot of money, and the common folks that are watching these movies. And I can tell that this was a cynical attempt to just fool the populace. It's like, oh, these are going for a lot of money. These are going for a lot of money. $10 million. It's like, yeah, but like these movies that we're watching make $10 million. Like $10 million for this movie would be considered a failure. Like Solo pulled in like 8.5 last week, I think. It's like, they're not. Yeah, like $10 million for a dinosaur is nothing in today's money. The real money is like billions of dollars. Wouldn't you start the bidding at an auction like this at $1 billion and go up from there? Nothing here makes sense. Nothing the villain is doing is making sense. The villain goes to the trouble to murder James Cromwell when James Cromwell figures out from his little daughter about what's going on here. And it's like, you could have just like inherited this dude's estate, this is a several billion-dollar facility. You've got money to last you several lifetimes. But no, you're going to do an illegal thing to get a little bit of what is for rich people pocket change for a few dinosaurs. When you could have kept them yourselves, started cloning and mass marketing themselves, maybe like splicing them with their own DNA. You could have like freaking like made a whole industry out of this, made billions of cash for this. But no, you sell an ankylosaurus for $10 million. I think the final price tag we see for how much they earned is like $140 million, which I think is how much this movie's made so far at the box office. So it's like, instead of like illegally killing a bunch of people and stealing a bunch of dinosaurs and selling them for pocket change, you could have just made a blockbuster and you would have made about the same amount of money. So it's dumb. It's really, it's okay. So then there's the super dinosaur. We have the Indoraptor, which is basically like the Indominus, except not as cool, not as big, and not as cool. It's smaller. It's basically just kind of a much larger mutant raptor that has like an enhanced sense of smell, and like tracking abilities. Based on what we see it do in the movie, it's resistant to bullets. I mean, basically like, it's resistant to like the tranquilizers they use, like Buffalo Bill, the bad guy general, like hits it twice, and it pretends to be asleep, but it's not. And so it's resistant to the tranquilizer darts that they use. Star-Lord shoots it with, I'm not sure what ammunition was. I'm not sure if he was using bullets or he was using trank shots. He shot it like 3 times and it did nothing to it. But it seems perfectly vulnerable to velociraptors and a triceratops skull, a fossilized triceratops skull, I might add. Yeah, it does that. And it's allegedly smarter, and it can be trained to respond to human direction. And what they have is basically, they've trained this thing to basically, if it sees a laser, you use a laser pointer on something, it'll follow the laser, and then if you use the sound device, it'll attack and kill whatever the laser's pointing at. And that's the best they've got. As opposed to, I don't know, a T-Rex Velociraptor hybrid that can cloak and has infravision, which I'm sorry is more badass. So this is basically just kind of it's like the Indominus, but not as cool. And it's okay. It's okay. It's just kind of, it's a mutant Velociraptor. And I think that started bothering me too, because I started thinking about it. It's like, well, wait a minute. We've only seen really like one type of Velociraptor. We've only seen Velociraptors in this series. We've never really seen Deinonychuses. We've never seen like Utah Raptors or Mega Raptors. There are other species of raptor that they could have been using. Like the Utah Raptor is like, that's their thing. They're like Velociraptors, but they're huge. Why not just make a movie about the Utah Raptor? You don't even have to make a fucking clone. You don't even have to genetically engineer anything. It's like you could have just shown us a different dinosaur, like we previously did before Jurassic World, but whatever. So, like Star-Lord and like Bryce Dallas managed to trick it's not a Pachycephalosaurus, but it looks like a Pachycephalosaurus. It's like a variant species. They trick it into breaking them out, and so they start running around fighting things, and then they use the Pachycephalosaurus to attack a bunch of the people at the auction. Star-Lord starts fighting people. That was fine. I was fine with that scene. That was cool. So then, like, they're running around, and like Star-Lord realizes they need to kill the Indoraptor because like that thing's too dangerous to be alive. And okay, and the movie, I think my problem at this point is the movie has been so blisteringly stupid. And the only character I like and give a shit about is Chris Pratt. He's the only Chris Pratt and Matey Blue. Those are the only two characters that actually Chris Pratt's charisma is carrying this entire fucking film. Bryce Dallas isn't bad. She's terrible in this film, but she's not good enough to really like warrant. She doesn't have the charisma or the likability that Chris has. Chris is literally carrying this like he's Hogan carrying the Ultimate Warrior. I swear to God, it's like he's carrying this entire movie. All the other characters are obnoxious, insufferable, or unbelievably stupid. So let's get to stupid. So how are the villains undone? The villains are undone by being retarded. So Buffalo Bill shows up, the general guy shows up with his teeth fetish, and he apparently hasn't gotten paid yet. He hasn't gotten his bonus. He sees the Super Raptor, so he shoots it twice with a tranquilizer dot and knocks it out, goes in to yank one of its teeth out because he's got a fucking tooth fetish, and it kills the fuck out of him. So major villain gets eaten by a dinosaur because he's an idiot. And then Armin Zola, who's another one of the villains, I forget the actor's name, but the guy that played Armin Zola in Captain America, the First Avenger, and came back as Armin Zola, but as a robot in Captain America: Winter Soldier. That guy. So he's in the thing, and he's an idiot, and like I think he sees the Indoraptors loose, so he tries to hide in a elevator, and there's a woman and a couple other people hiding there, and so he like forces the woman in front of him, just like again being needlessly a dick for no reason, when there was like room on the other side for him to hide too, or instead of just hitting the fucking button and going down. And they seemingly escape, but then the Indoraptor like tail knocks off the fucking pad, and it just opens back up, and they all die. So they all die because they're stupid. They're stupid. It's not even like the villain doesn't, the hero doesn't defeat them. It's nothing. Nothing is earned. It's just the dinosaurs, the cool characters, wind up killing them because our villains are garbage. So then Star-Lord runs into Star-Lord and Bryce Dallas. They've got the little stupid kid. Tech guy and veterinarian release Blue, and who kills a bunch of people, and again because our villains are stupid, and I don't have much to say about that scene. But so they find the stupid kid, and then like the stupid the bad guy, the guy who's the heir of the estate now, he pulls shotguns on them, and instead of killing all of them, he wants the girl back, and he starts talking to them and starts moralizing it, and then for no reason whatsoever, he explains that the little girl's a clone. And so, like, oh shit, the girl's a clone. I so care about her now. So, okay, the only thing I can say to that is, it's like, okay, cool. There are human clones in the world of Jurassic Park now. I guess that's neat. But it's like, I don't like this character, I don't like this kid, and there's no reason for him telling this now, and it adds nothing to the story. So, why? So, and then, once again, like, there's so many coincidences, like, anytime the heroes are caught, a dinosaur shows up and attacks the villains, so that's how they get away. So, like, the fucking Indoraptor shows up and starts eating the guards, so they run away. Eventually, main villain guy's eaten by the T-Rex. Fuck him, I don't care. So then, like, the next of the movie is the Indoraptor for some reason wants to eat the little girl, like, for no reason, when there's plenty of other food to be running around. And mind you, he's been eating all day long. Ain't he full yet? He had, like, 6 people. He had, like, 2 major villains and, like, 3 other people and some guards. Isn't he full yet? What motivates this thing? So, he decides, I'm going to eat this little girl. She starts chasing the little girl over the place. The little girl runs up to her bedroom and hides in bed. I couldn't hate this character more. Apparently, the director of this did a lot of, like, indie horror films that are supposed to be really, really good, and that's why this whole thing is shot in a fucking haunted house with a little girl, because that's what he specializes in, instead of, I don't know, having dinosaurs be on an island and having adventures with dinosaurs. So there's a bunch of admittedly nice shots where the dinosaurs clambering over the mansion, but I don't care. I don't care. Nothing. This is just so unsatisfying and so not what I wanted from a Jurassic Park movie. That and what it boils down to is the girl's not running or hiding. She's hiding in bed. She's not even hiding under the covers. She's in the covers, like it's all a dream. And she's not. And the thing just comes inside. There's also a ton of annoying fan service in this movie. There's a scene early on where we see the Brachiosaurus when the Indoraptor comes to meet the little girl. It starts tapping its fucking claw on the ground, because remember, in the first Jurassic Park, the Raptors did that. There's just a bunch of annoying fucking fan service. In fact, God, the old guy, James Cromwell. James Cromwell's entire quote is word for word John Hammond's words at the end of The Lost World. It's word for word, you know. And it's just so stupid. It's so stupid. The little girl should have died. The tech guy should have died like 100 times over. Chris Pratt shows up, shoots the fucking Indoraptor, does nothing, has no back plan, he's about to die, and then Blue shows up. So he's saved by a coincidence. Blue attacks the damn thing. He gets in bed with the little girl and holds her and instead of getting her out of the fucking room and acting sensibly, and it all winds up on a roof. And it's just everything is stupid. Nothing has tension. Nothing is exciting. The Indoraptor eventually gets impaled by a fucking Triceratops, by a Triceratops skull. So the whole like stupid movie. Oh, all right, I'm all set. So then, like, because one of the soldiers like blew up like a propane tank, a bunch of gas is leaking into this facility underneath the mansion. So all the dinosaurs are getting gassed and are dying. And there's like a release button to let them all out. And Star-Lord's like, Bryce, well, that's not her name. Like, names like Darlene or something. Darlene, you let those dinosaurs out, there's no going back. And this button will let the dinosaurs out. The dinosaurs are literally getting gassed to death in front of them. And are suffering and are moaning and are whining. And apparently not attacking or thrashing at each other. Which, like, first of all, there's predators mixed with herbivores. They shouldn't be freaking out and attacking the herbivores. And if, for that matter, the herbivores being scared should be attacking each other, too. But they're all moaning and suffering and dying. And, like, okay, and Bryce is like, she's about to hit the button to let them go, and she stops, and they just sit there and let them die. Now, Mullen pointed out that, like, this would actually have been a sensible action, because they've proven that the dinosaurs are incredibly dangerous. And releasing them onto the world would be irresponsible and dangerous. Okay, I can understand that argument. I can appreciate that argument, and maybe that's what they're going for. Here's the fucking problem. The problem is that Bryce Dallas went all the way to this fucking island to rescue these damn dinosaurs, and now after all this, is just going to sit there and watch them die. Not only that, it's easy to say something like, "Oh, maybe we should just let nature take its course and let something get wiped out, even if it is dangerous." When you're not there to watch it, but they are literally looking at these dinosaurs and are about to watch them slowly die to death by being gassed. Which, if you're a being with empathy, isn't okay and shouldn't sit well with anybody. So then the little girl hits the button when no one's paying attention. You've got 4 adults in the room who could have stopped her. And so she unleashes the dinosaurs on an unsuspecting world. So it's just like, it's just everything's stupid. Everything's stupid. Everything's fucking dumb about this movie. And then it bookends with fucking Ian Malcolm, who's finishing his speech to the Senate. And I like to think that maybe he was just talking to the Senate this entire time. He was just filibustering them. But he's going on about how, like, the world is forever changed. We're living in a Jurassic world. And we're showing that the dinosaurs are all over the place. And they're integrated with society. And it feels like what they're trying to do is they're trying to do, like, a Cadillacs with dinosaurs thing. Like, where maybe, like, okay, now we are Jurassic World because now dinosaurs are a thing now. And dinosaurs are loose. And mankind's got to deal with that. My problem, though, is that this is just a handful of fucking dinosaurs. This is a handful of dinosaurs that have been stolen from this island. There's a limited number of them. And the Mesosaurus, which escaped at the beginning of the movie. Long story. This is just a handful of dinosaurs. These things, including the Mesosaurus, which is probably the scariest, deadliest thing that's out there, can all very easily been either recaptured or wiped out by the military. Easily. Yeah, the Mesosaurus is a badass. Send a couple submarines at that thing's gonna die. That thing's gonna fucking die. Fuck that, send a couple ships. We can spot that motherfucker on sonar, send a couple depth charges, or not. Look, I guarantee you my ship's 5-inch gun can take care of a Mesosaurus. I guarantee you. We'll make that thing go extinct again. Whatever. So it's like, this reminded me of Rise of the Planet of the Apes, which I also hate, which people like, which I don't understand, where it's, okay, so let me get this straight. A couple of allegedly intelligent apes run amok in LA and then run to the Redwood Forest and wait for a pandemic to happen, and that's the Planet of the Apes? Fuck you. Fuck you. No. If you're going to do this, if this is going to be your premise, you need, like, an invasion of dinosaurs. You need to show, like, dinosaurs overrunning the fucking planet. And these are just a handful of dinosaurs that are being let loose. I don't buy it. And again, it ignores Isle Sorna. What about the Lost World? So, in conclusion, I was thoroughly disappointed with this film. Do not see it. Do not waste your money on it. It is stupid. It is stupid. It's not fun. If this were like, look, for everybody that hates the Lost World out there, I'm sorry, I don't agree with you. I don't. For everyone that hates the Lost World Jurassic Park, or hates Jurassic World, or hates Jurassic Park 3, I don't agree with you. I don't. yeah, those movies are kind of dumb. They're kind of dumb sequels, but what they do well, they do fine. They're adventures with dinosaurs. They're just silly adventures with dinosaurs, with people running around with dinosaurs. That's fine. That's acceptable. That is my kind of stupid. That is an enjoyable film. That it may not, obviously it's not for you, and maybe my standards are just different, and it's like, but it's like, I get they're dumb, but there's still something salvageable and something enjoyable and entertainment level there. This has none of that. This, like, the only scene on the island, the only scenes where we're doing stuff that actually feels like Jurassic Park is when we're on the fucking island and we're there for 5 minutes. We're there for 5 minutes, the place explodes, and then the rest of it takes place in a haunted fucking house with an annoying little girl that doesn't need to be there, and really stupid villains. Really stupid villains that I could not enjoy whatsoever. It's really disappointing. Some of the dinosaur stuff is good. The dinosaurs look fine. And the Indoraptor, okay, the Indoraptor, he's not as good as the Indominus, but he's alright, but it's just, it's like, this movie is too stupid. This movie is too stupid. Look, go see Incredibles 2. Go see Incredibles 2 instead of this film. Go see Hereditary. I haven't seen it yet, but Walter Howard, my buddy, an awesome film, like a film reviewer at Licorice Rub. Go check out his blog. Link in the description. Go see Hereditary. Hereditary is a really awesome horror movie. Go check that out. Do not see Jurassic World. Do not support Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. Do not do it. Do not support Jurassic World anymore. It's like, I like the last one. The last one was fun. This is stupid. And guaranteed, there's a third one already greenlit. This isn't as bad as, like, The Last Jedi or Solo, where I think part of the problem is not only are they disrespecting the Star Wars franchise and are they making bad films, but they're also insulting the fan base by doing it. At no point have I seen, like, again, at no point have I seen Chris Pratt or, like, Colin Trevorrow or anyone say, like, well, if you don't like this movie, you're X terrible type of person. I haven't seen any of that happen here. But it's a bad movie, and they're milking Jurassic Park like a cash cow. And it's like, I'm fine. You want more Jurassic Park content? Fine. Give me good Jurassic Park content. Give me a good fucking movie. They could have had a good movie. They were focusing too hard on making another movie that they're going to come out with eventually. It's probably not going to be good either. I was excited for this film. I was excited for this film, as all my friends were telling me it's going to be dumb, it's going to be dumb, it's going to be dumb. It's like, I was fine with that. I was fine. It's going to be my type of dumb. It's going to be a fun dumb. No, it's not. It's not. It is genuinely bad. Also, it's too long. It's 2 hours too long. It feels like it's 2 hours long. It feels like it's 4 hours long. Speaking of which, I'm at an hour 30 minutes right now ranting about this movie. I apologize. I apologize for ranting you for so long, but I was pissed about this fucking film. I had to fucking say my piece. I had to get this off my chest. And you know what? But here's the thing. I may have gone on forever and been annoying, but at least I'm not going to trouble you as badly as the movie troubled me. This is the Dread Pirate. Don't see Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. Go back. Watch the original Jurassic Park, play the video games, read the novel, read Michael Crichton, may he rest in peace. He's one of the greatest science fiction writers of all time. Don't endorse this bullshit. Go read Michael Crichton. Go out there and watch a good film, but don't make it Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. This is the Dread Pirate saying, "Arrgh." Catch you later, folks.